Hey, everybody, welcome to Tattooed in Business. I'm your host, Brian Merrill, and this is Life and Business Through the Eyes of a Gen X male who's been in corporate sales for over 20 years and just trying to help anybody out there who possibly might be going through some of the things that I've gone through with the trials and struggles of being an entrepreneur, business owner, and a top salesperson. So, I want to talk about something that I've gone through now. This is the second time in my life with businesses. And really simple. Uh, this comes about when you are going through a business venture where you are either buying an existing business out, combining with a different business, or basically taking over an existing business. So the first time I did this, uh, my partners and we bought an existing bar and we decided to rebrand it, shut it down, and restart it over. And this was actually uh, this weekend. Oh, what was it 5 years ago? 5 years ago this weekend when we did that. And now I'm coming back into this again with well, actually, I take it back. This is the third time I've done it. Then several years ago, about 4 years ago, um, I did a rebrand with, or a brand extension, I should say, with a current company that is really has been in the e-commerce platform for a while, and we did a brand extension with them launching a promotional products division. And then now again, I'm in a situation where we bought an existing business and promotional products and embroidering and screen printing decoration business, and we're in a very similar situation. So the first one was easy, right? First call was easy. The bar head was failing. Um, Owner wanted out, so we were completely walking into this. Uh, Rebrand was totally the way to go. We needed to create it. We wanted to try a different environment than what they had. We changed colors, schemes, everything, menu, um, atmosphere, everything. And quite honestly, we fought ourselves for a while of what we really were. I mean, we were two guys that, or actually three guys of us that were in a motorcycle club together, and um, we were like fighting like what we want to be. And at the end of the day, the best route for us is probably a biker bar, and we tried to fight that at first, but not knowing that identity, not knowing where we wanted to go, not not having a game plan mapped out beforehand. We never did a business plan. We never did the things that you really need to do, and that ultimately set us up for failure. And then, of course, because at some point you have arguments between the owners, you have disagreements on vision. Um, I've been in the marketing world and sales world for a long time. They didn't see any value in me as that type of person, which I didn't see any value in them because they had completely different backgrounds, never done sales or anything of that nature in the past. So we never gelled, right? We never really gelled to be successful for each other. We were great friends. Um, and unfortunately, I lost that friendship because of it. And there's a lot of other things that happened that led towards it. You know, me not being in the right mindset, them not being in the right mindset. But bottom line, there's nobody was 100% at fault, and nobody was 100% innocent. Uh, and there's a lot of other, shit that happened that we don't talk about at this point. That's between them and I, to what really happened. And like I said, if as long as they can sleep with themselves, we're cool with it. I don't need to see, but the rebrand, and it's funny is because I had to get those Facebook memory things, so I'm getting all these things popping up, showing, when we did this, and this is so I guess it was 6 years ago, so it was 2016 when we launched, and we changed everything. We tried to change the atmosphere. It was very successful for a while, and then just like anything else, burned itself out really fast. There's problems, and and what we had to do. And now the new people that had the bar they didn't do a complete different rebrand. They went with what we did and they kept expanded. And they've been in business for a few years now. They survived the COVID deal and all that, so good for them. Happy for them, and I'm glad it's working out for them. So the second time I did it was more of a brand extension. A huge mistake. If I had really thought hard about this and really put ego aside and took it out of check, this was a very successful e-commerce platform. A lot of people in town didn't know what we did. and that's fine. But we changed it. We put a different persona name on it. We changed the logo on it, changed the colors of it, font on it. We did everything trying to make it our own. Uh, the person that headed it up with me, Ro and I, we like tried to. I don't know. I think we tried to put our own personalities on it because we were the two running that division. And the smart money would have been to simply treat it like a brand extension of an existing successful brand. So we have a successful brand and we try to change it a little bit. And we never got the momentum off that we should have. And we truly did set our niches and came up with strategies and everything we could do. Uh, we really spent a lot of time thinking about that. The first year, and I feel bad because it happened the way it happened, but the first year I went through hell and I wound up, you know, I had a really rough time and I buried 8 people in 10 months, and in the midst of all that, still able to bring in $250,000 worth of brand new business to the place. We were, were profitable. We did well, um, and and they're still going. By the way, they're still going. I just they chose to go a different direction. I honestly felt more of they liked me, so were keeping me, and they didn't really need me type thing. And at the end of the day, I decided to move on to where I'm at and kind of go my own brand. I did the GY6 promotion. As everyone knows, I keep talking about that. There's going to be a rebrand launch after I'm done with a couple other things with this other business the other businesses that I'm working with. So there will be a rebrand of that, and that'll go back to e-commerce platform for uh, branded apparel and promotional items, with the logo and the concept of I got your back. So that's where we're going with that. So right now, we're currently in another situation where we are rebranding. And it was a very tough decision because we bought an existing business that the person, one of the owners, passed away. So they were in business. They weren't going to go out of business. Um, they were profitable. It's just the two of them, husband and wife situation. And they're very well known in the community because of all their volunteer work and being born and raised their kids there. Everybody knows them. So we still have people. I literally still have people coming in the door to make photocopies. And is that the business you want? No, that's not your business model, obviously. But you have that loyalty of people coming in. So on a constant daily basis, when you're in that building, you keep hearing about the former owners. Well, they did it this way. Well, we did it this way. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what they did, but this is not the vision that was going to keep them moving forward. Eventually, the model that they had would not have sustained itself to keep being profitable and keep moving forward. So we purchased the business, um, and then we have we have a commercial printing business as well. So we really get to tie everything in together. So it's really great because we're a one-stop shop, right? For business, for any type of marketing, branding, we can do it all. Anything from signage, vehicle lettering, to uh, direct mailers, uh, business cards, all your manuals that go inside with your product if you're a manufacturer, to branded apparel for your employees, branded merchandise to give away to promote your business, fanware, you name it, we can do it. Team uniforms, we do it all. We have sources overseas, plus basically overseas and domestic. So we have a great opportunity, but we're at a crossroads, right? So we have this brand that's been in this community for a long time, wasn't growing, wasn't going to grow, was stagnant. So what do? Do you rebrand it? So you got this one business right over here that's the mothership, that's very successful, been around for over 30 years, is known, has a reputation, has everything going for it, but not both owners are into this one over here. The main owner has this one, and the main owner has this one. So we have to have a separation. So we always have to have a separation there. That's a problem, right? Because the perfect world would be to take this one, right, that's been dominant for 30 years and make that brand extension off it. That way you have, you know, a nice feed. It's a natural transition with the client base to add on to where they're at, and then have a one staff sells all. So that's very difficult to do right now because we have a division of there. However, we struggle with this. So I'm not used to being in the retail space. I've been on the B2B side for a long time. E-commerce is not the same as a traditional retail brick and mortar shop. So I feel that we're putting together a great team. I really do. The enthusiasm from the employees, or I hate saying employees. I'm going to say the team. The enthusiasm from the team has been like, stressful but good. You know what I mean? It's like we have these growing pains, and we talk about these growing pains and how we're going to change and what we want to do. So I come up with this concept, and I presented it to everybody, and everybody seems to be on board. Everyone seems to like it. I don't know if we're going to go that route or not. But so we're always brainstorming, always thinking. We try to do I want to make like a little war room think tank area where we literally meet and just do that, versus just the three heads, the owner, myself, and our other manager Kevin. The three of us meet, but I want everyone to have like this opportunity to be involved in it and come up with ideas and strategies. And that's what I love about this whole concept. But we have this brand, and how do you know what to do with it at this point? Do you risk alienate your core customers that are coming in there now by changing the name or changing the whatever? We've already changed the logo, guys. We freshened the logo up. We have our LLC has the same font, same everything, but totally different name. So for those of you watching on Facebook and whatnot, so Abby Inc. Abby Inc. is our LLC. It incorporates both the print side and the promo side, right? So it incorporates everything because of the main owner, and Gina is done a hell of a job building her brand over the years, and now we're trying to build another brand. So we've come up with this concept with the help of Key Branding Lab Solutions. I quit calling you guys solutions because you guys are like solution providers. So I keep adding a little extra to your name. It's Key Branding Labs. So the guys over at Key Branding Labs came up with a great storyboard. It was almost like they were reading our mind, in all honesty, when they came up with what the concept was. And all they did is they took our personalities, they took kind of what we're about and our day-to-day stuff, and they've expanded on it. So what you're seeing is real. So you want that to translate into this brand, right? So do you change? So how do you change, right? So you have to have a transition period, and you got to have a feeler. And what we are finding is, one, the original name of the company, unless you live in that town, you probably don't know how to spell it. And it's not a hard word to spell, but let's face it, it's so there's one issue, right? Two, people, do they know it by the name or do they know it by the former owner's name? And that's really what it boils down to. Now, the former owner, one of the owners, obviously is still alive, and it was really nice to be able to talk with Betsy during the whole process because of my background and her background. We could talk the same language, so that helped me a lot. At the beginning stages of this, having someone that can just understand what I'm going through and what I'm talking about and point me in some directions. But reality is do we want to be that business? We want to be our own. And by changing that name and transitioning, are we going to alienate anyone? Probably not. Location is what people get. Location is what people know in this case. So they're either going to embrace the new owners or they're not. They're going to embrace the new policies or they're not. They're going to embrace the new look or they're not. And you're going to run into that with them. Even if you leave that name on the outside of the building the same, if it's got a great name, you don't touch it, right? If it's got great reputation, great name, you don't touch it. This one is where I was really kind of caught off guard. So everybody knew in that community that knew that name, Staple, that one of the owners passed away and that the place was going to go up for sale. So everybody knew that anyways. And then you find out that people switch their business during the process because of, obviously, business is business. I got to be able to get my product. I got to be able to get my stuff. I've actually had people talking about quality issues. I've had, so when I'm out and about and I'm talking to people, I'm always asking, what can we do better? How can I earn your trust? How do I earn your business? Because I tell everyone, Sam Walton said it best. If you stop asking people to come, they'll stop coming. And I always say, you know what? And I say that, to expand on what he said, I always say, you know what? If you're talking with a customer, if you shut up and listen, truly listen, they'll tell you how to do business with them, unless they really just don't like you and trying to get rid of you. Now, I haven't had that experience yet, where somebody hasn't opened up to me. Um, what I do very well is listening to the customer and then finalize the sale or finalize the transaction or whatnot or whatever it is that we're going to do to move forward to go business. What I need is a super strong back. I tell everyone I'm only as good as my production guys. When I sold Harleys, I lived off my service shop guys, man. I truly did. I lived off them and their ability to get things done. I lived off my parts department. I lived off all these things, and I learned this really quickly. When you have this backbone structure of really solid people, it doesn't matter what your rebrand is. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. That people that with that backbone, they're going to be the ones that deliver. They're going to be the ones that help move you forward. So in this case, I'm telling you, I got a good team, and I feel really strong about moving forward, transitioning over a period of time. And that's the other thing. You can't just do it overnight. One of the big mistakes you make is you open up a business who has a good, reputable name, and like that, you switch the name of it. And even if you know that it needs a refresher, you switch the name of it overnight. You cannot do that. You need to transition. You need to get people warm and fuzzy with you, and then you got to make it an event. And I'm not saying necessarily open house. One of the other team members had a really good idea of special business nights and inviting different businesses in our non-hours. So we open special for them and their business to come in. My son actually had an idea where we invited um, the local little league teams and that team. We're going to do team uniforms with them to come in and check the place out. And then I've even thought about traditional open house. So with all these things like go around our heads, and partnering with the area businesses, partnering with the people that are in our family. So we're part of the Key Branding Lab fam, and then we joke around about it with Adam, Dave, and everybody, and we all joke back and forth about you're part of the fam now. But it's like it is a culture. It's a culture that we like. It's a culture that we want to move forward with, and it's one of the most powerful networking things you can do, and that's going to help us relaunch our brand. Now, I'll be the first one to say what we need to do at this point is we need to map out a game plan, and this is something that now that we've made the decision with the direction we're going and everything. Once you make that decision, if you're going to do that rebrand, you need to map it out, and you want to do at least a 3 year. And I'm not talking about like a full blown business plan, but what you want to do is put together the next 3 to 5 year structure so that when you deviate or you start to deviate at that point, you can revert back to something. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to change. I'm not going to say that you're not going to have to shift on the fly. Those things are very relevant, and you're going to have to do those. But when you do that 3 year map, and that's kind of what it is. You want to map where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And one of the biggest challenges you got to face is where are you today and can you handle the growth today? The answer is no. Pump the brakes, and you got to take a look right now where you're at and what you can produce and make the adjustments to get there. We just found out this weekend if anyone's ever watched Bar Rescue, they do these stress tests, right? So we had an impromptu stress test this weekend. And of course, I wound up breaking a freaking tooth and everything, but it came up Friday. And this is why I know we have the right team. I couldn't be there because I had to get my tooth looked at and everything. The whole time I'm in contact with them down there. The owner, Gina, knows what's going on. She's taking care of another situation that she had to take care of immediately, work related, to satisfy a customer. And that team functioned. It function like a freaking well-oiled freaking machine. And having the right people at the helm makes that difference. And I literally sat there like, I'm huge on these after action reviews. You guys don't even know I call them that, but like, so I'm on the phone with the manager Kevin. He brings me up to speed what's going on. Then I get on the phone and Freddie calls me, our head of production, and he breaks down to me what happened during the day. I said, hey Freddie, go just I need to crunch some numbers in my head here. I'm like, how long did it take you to run? From the time you burned the screens to the time you finished up today, how long did it take you to do it? And um, and how many units did you pump out? Which it was way more than I thought he did by about 300 shirts more than what I thought he did. And he broke down the numbers, which was less than what I figured. And then after I said, oh my God, I said, guys, we're in profit. So now I know that our numbers that we originally came up with how to structure our pricing is accurate, because what most people do in our industries, they have these numbers and they don't cover their costs. They don't cover, they're losing. They don't understand why. And they have to make all these shifts and adjustments. Now, our pricing's in line with all of our competitors. And that's how we know that we're in the right, for our pricing. Now, buy a brand new building or move to a different building, you buy brand new equipment, anything like that, your numbers are going to change. Of course, it's going to take a little time, whatnot, to make sure all that's in line. But it's all part of the fun, man. I tell everyone, when you go into business, it's not for the faint of heart anyhow. Now, when you go in and you try to do a rebrand and a relaunch, you better have some fucking stones, man. You better have some stones. You better be ready for a lot of freaking hard questions coming from people. You better be have some pretty thick skin for some of the feedback you're going to get. And you need to understand, one, you're not going to please everybody, but what you need to think about when those 5 or 6 naysayers are jawing at you, what's the big picture look like? Are you going to expand? Are you grow? Did you want to change your customer base? And don't take this wrong. I like the people. I really do. I think it's a great community. But most of the people, everyone knows the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your business comes from 20%, and 20% of your business comes from 80%. 80% spent time with gives you 20% of your business, but the 20% of your business or time that you're spending with someone produces 80% of your money. It's so true to form. Most of the people that are going to give you the negative feedback in this type of situation are probably the 80% that's taking up your time versus the revenue they're generating. So you have to make a really hard call there. One of the things I told a salesperson when I first started over as a sales manager, and I never thought she listened to me until she said it back to me. I said, how many accounts do you have? And she says, oh, like 25, 30. I said, okay. So you got 25, 30, and what are you booking? She tells me what she's booking. And not very impressive number, by the way. 20 to 30, it should have been about 25 times what she was booking. And I sat there and said, okay, well, who's your top account? Who's your this? So I broke it down. I looked at her and I said, do you value your time? I said, well, of course I do. And I said, okay, so here's my problem. And hers wasn't even 80-20. It was more like a 95-5. So 5% of her business was coming from the 95% that she was spending time with. And 95% of her sales was coming from the people that she spent 5% of her time with. And this is a little exaggeration, of course. But what I said to her, I said, if they're not spending X amount of dollars with you, then they're not worth your time. I said, this is going to be the hard part. I said, you're going to need to take a look at a mirror. And I said, and you're going to take a big name company even that's on your list. And I'm just going to make up one. I'm going to make up one that we don't have a national company, right? So I'll say Halbert. You know what I mean? Really great big well drillers, right? Everyone kind of knows about these guys at some point. But anyhow, so these guys spend nothing with you. They spend $1,000 a year. But because they're a big name, you want to keep chasing them. You want to keep going after them and all this. But they're not giving you the love. They're not giving you anything. So one of two things is happening. You haven't branded yourself with them and solidified as top of mind awareness. They probably don't know everything you do. Or reality is this: they're gonna send you whatever business they're sending you anyhow, and they're the ones that you call once or twice a year. Then you take the one that spend the most with you, and you need to take a look at that. And it maybe it doesn't have a great big name, but maybe it does. That's the one you got to spend. So I tried to convince her, look, if you spend less time with these small ones, they're going to call you anyhow. You just take those orders. That be an order taker with. But these guys over here, find out, dig deep, find out what you can do with them and where their connections are, and then work on everything that. And as we rebrand and we do an extension, you're going to keep adding to on those. And that hit her pretty hard, I guess, because she said it back to me. She said, Brian, the best advice you ever gave me was to stop screwing around with these small ones and focus on these guys. And I said, wow, that made me feel pretty good. So for the rebrand part of aspect of this is going to help her grow because she now has a solid connection there, knows multiple buyers and multiple this. All that's going to help with that. So on that note, I guess we're going to wrap it up. But, when you're looking at a rebrand, if it's a brand new company, hey, man, go for it. You go after that concept you want. Make sure you have a game plan and map it out. Even with a rebrand, you need to make sure you have it mapped out. Biggest mistake I made right off the get-go, if we never put in writing a direction in that bar where we wanted to go. We talked about a lot of things, but we never mapped it. And I'm not talking like a business agreement. I'm talking about a game plan moving forward and how it was going to work. And how you're going to resolve conflict is probably a good thing to include in there. So when people aren't seeing eye to eye, how you're going to resolve that. Maybe that would have made a big difference in the first go around. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe my partner still would have done to me what they did to me. And, and maybe my head would have checked out like it did. Who knows? But reality is it didn't have the second go around. We had that kind of stuff, but made a bad decision as a rebrand. Didn't need to do a rebrand. This time, we're putting it in writing. We're mapping it out. We've committed to the rebrand in a time frame of which we're going to do it because we realize that it takes time and to invest back in and slowly into it. And people that are walking and going, oh my God, what do you do? And I'm talking also, these guys are like, this team is like kicking ass over there about just redoing the store inside and everything. And you know what? People are receptive to it. And that the more receptive, they're going to keep coming in. And that's when you start slowly launching and slowly transitioning and educating your customer and how you're going to do business moving forward, and how you're going to change the name or whatever it is you're going to do, and the condition to go to this website, look for these things. That's what a true, well thought out rebranding looks like. All right. So everybody have a great Sunday. Hey, if you haven't watched the NCAA tournament, this is probably one of the best tournaments I've seen in quite some time. You really missed out. Unfortunately, Duke got knocked off, so I lost my number one stance in our pool. But hey, it was a lot of fun. UNC versus Kansas. I've always been a Tar Heel guy, so obviously I'm rooting for the Tar Heels here. So everyone have a great day. And again, this is Tattooed in Business, and I'm your host, Brian Merrill. And if you can get anything out of this, or you know anyone, please like, share, and send me an email, send me a comment. Love to hear from you. Everyone have a great week.